All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Chrono, Developer Relations at Cartridge, and we are here today with Click, one of the Cartridge co-founders, and we're going to learn a bit more how Click thinks about working with and developing with AI tools. So, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, your background, how you came to Cartridge, and
Yeah,
a little bit about what your AI workflow looks like today?
sure. So uh, I am a designer by training. I studied architecture in college and then started doing software design. And and so like most of my time I spend in Figma doing like UI, UX prototyping. Um, and like Cartridge is a startup, so we have a handful of employees, but we don't have like a massive design team. And this is mostly kind of where I've spent my career. Um, so so like typically I'll have to wear a lot of different hats. So like sometimes I'll do marketing, sometimes I'll do product design, and recently I've started doing like game design and development, which has been a lot of fun. And it's been really interesting, kind of like watching the um, the AI tools change and develop. It's almost been like one to one since since Cartridge has existed. So I think we started the company right around when Midjourney like um, announced itself, and OpenAI did ChatGPT. So over time, um, there are a lot of ways that these AI tools have found their way into our workflow. Um, and yeah, it's changed quite a bit. So I don't know
Yeah.
if I could
No, no,
expand on any of that. Let me know.
that was great. I mean, I think, one of the things that I've been so impressed by at Cartridge is how on top of like AI technology trends the whole team seems to be.
Hmm.
Um, like, what was it like for you? Like, was it something that you had to really make a conscious effort to try out tools? Was it the kind of thing that just kind of came
Mm.
naturally? You're just like, I love new technology. I love being an early adopter. Did you have to really like learn a new workflow, or was it something you were able to really just augment what you were already doing? Like
Yeah.
maybe if there were a couple of moments that really jump out at you of like, wow, this is a really pivotal turning point in my own development, because the
Hmm.
last few weeks you've just been creating a whole game by yourself, which
Hmm.
I thought was very impressive. Is that something that you just like, I just, I exude talent, or is it something you
Yeah.
have to work at? Like, tell us a bit
Yeah.
more about what that journey was like for you.
I mean, I would say it's been nothing but a benefit. Like since we've started using it, there are things that um it's good at, and there are things that it's like not quite like as good at. Um, but over time, it's gotten better at some of the things that it wasn't good at before. I would say like almost immediately, it became really helpful in like producing marketing content. So a lot of our um, like social media announcements, they'll use like an AI image as like a background image, or they'll add like flare or flourish to it, and that's something that you know like before, like Midjourney um uh was like a uh before Midjourney was a product. That was something I would always do by hand, and it's not really my like specialty. It's like not something that I like particularly love about design,
Yeah.
um or as like a area of design. So to be able to like generate good enough images for like a quick social media blast, that was really helpful. And um and there like some areas where like we worked on a game called Beer Baron, which we were trying to like use kind of like AI to produce some of like the image assets for it, and it wasn't quite as good at that. It was really hard to produce like consistent fidelity assets. There were some tricks that we learned to kind of like get it closer. Like if you asked it to like produce like a tile set of images, and in one prompt it could generate like pretty consistent like tile sets, but then it would be really hard to like take that and then apply it to like a new prompt or a second prompt. And like sometimes it would generate assets, but they would have like fuzzy edges, or like some of the detail work was really hard to kind of like refine and fine tune. It was kind of like a take it or leave it thing. And more recently, I've been building games, or at least demos of games. I I don't know if I'm ever gonna paper prototype again. Like I feel like it's really easy to get to a demo of a game or a game concept with like Cursor and like Claude. Um, and yeah, just like a lot of the manual work of like creating paper prototypes and like cutting things up and pasting them together is like people did that because it like increased the iteration speed
Yeah.
of game development. And now like just spitting out like a quick like game idea and then like simulating it in directly like on like a local dev server um, is extremely fast. So that's been a lot of fun.
Right. So you're saying that there was an earlier workflow, which I would actually love some more detail on what that involved. I'm not familiar with that
Mhm.
process. You're saying that at the time that was actually the most efficient way to iterate, but
Yeah,
now you can just iterate directly, and that's actually
I
even faster.
yeah. If you give me a second,
Yeah.
I'll run and grab some of
Yeah.
the
Please.
paper prototyping.
I will say, as like a aside to the audience, not the clicks out, I've been at Cartridge for a little less than a month now, and I have just been so impressed by how strong the entire team is around staying at the very front of the technology curve. It's been really inspiring and honestly a little bit intimidating to see everyone just being so on their game. All right, what do we got? Let's
Oh,
show it so everyone at home can see what we're dealing with.
so I've got a lot of like, maybe if I tilt my camera down here. Um, these are dice that I created with paper to test like a dice mechanic for a game. Like this was going to be like a Dope Wars feature idea, but I wanted like to iterate on the mechanic of the feature, the game mechanic, before I asked like our development team to build it for me. So I created these like paper prototypes of the game. If you've played Dope Wars, you'll recognize these at Coney
Yeah,
Island, like the Bronx, and like this was like a map that would arrange on the table, and then they had like all kinds of stuff in here. Like I've got these like little packets that I created. These were all like little tokens that that we would use to like simulate like a game. And the reason why you do this is because it actually takes a lot of time and effort to build a game with
yeah,
code. So this was the fallback. This was the easy thing to do. Just do it as low fidelity as possible with paper. And I needed custom dice, so I created custom dice. But even this, it took me probably about a couple days to like construct the dice, print all this stuff out on paper, like cut
yeah.
these like physically.
Yeah, I see all the hours you spent in studio really coming out.
Sure. This is what we do at Cartridge.
It's so fun.
I even had like stuff like this, which is like an inventory board, and you would like glue things to the inventory board. It's like a backpack hero style. Like, what if the inventory was like taking up more space in your bag, and instead of doing just like a, anyways. So like these dice, for example, like if I wanted to simulate this with software, now it's just so much easier to like write a prompt and say like, hey, I need to randomize like the outcome of this button. Like here are the three kinds of things that can happen. And whenever I click the roll button, give me, like one of these things according to like the percentage of, I'm not sure how I would specifically construct that prompt, but I guarantee you it would take less time than building it and gluing it together with actual paper. So yeah, and I can go into a little bit about like how I got started with that, and but like I don't know if I'll ever do this again. As fun as this was, like I don't know if this is like good ROI
Yeah,
on time spent anymore.
totally. I guess so relatedly. So when you were sort of adapting and evolving your workflow, was it something that was really just trial and error? Were you watching like YouTube videos by people who had wanted to share their workflows? Like, what was that like for you, kind of along the way? Because I know different
Yeah,
people
for
have learning styles. I'm always curious. Some people
right.
just love to try stuff out. Some people love to learn from others, more lecture format. Like, what was
Yeah.
it like for you? Just like your friends, you were chatting about what they were doing.
Yeah, with like the game dev specifically. Um I think it was the levels post. Levels IO, he famously was building like a flight simulator, and he was doing it all vibe coding, and it was like a week on Twitter where like everyone was talking about vibe coding.
Huh.
And I think I saw a post where someone had like very simply laid out like, oh, like just ask Grok. Just came out with like some model, and it was like really good at the time. And they're like, just ask it to produce like a game as like a JavaScript file, like a JSX file, and then save it as an HTML file. And then you can like load it up and like play and then iterate that way. So I tried it, and that was kind of the beginning of like my realizing that this was an accessible thing for like game design. Like I was using it for like marketing and illustration and all that kind of stuff before, but um and I had kind of like had a game that I'd wanted to build for a while in the back of my head. I was like spending a lot of time thinking about it. I'd probably kind of been considering it for about 2 months, and once I had like proven to myself that I could build like a simple dungeon crawler, like I was just like, okay, like let's simulate the combat mechanism for this game that I was thinking about.
Wow.
And yeah, since then I've been spending a lot of time with it.
That's so cool. Yeah, do you want to tell us a bit about Moongleam, and then we're going to shift into
Hmm.
maybe a bit of a demo of your workflow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Moongleam is the working title for the Vibe game that I've been building. Very simply, it is a auto battler roguelike, um, taking heavy inspiration from games like Slay the Spire and the Bazaar. Um, and I think like I'm not a person who has a ton of time to play games. Like I wish I had more games or more time to play games. But so like auto battlers as like a genre has always like kind of like stuck out to me because you can like kind of pick it up and put it down.
Yeah,
Um, and it can fit around your schedule. Um, and I love roguelikes. I think I like the like reusability of roguelikes. I like feeling like I'm getting really good at something, and and uh so yeah, so I think yeah, Moongleam is just it's like a combination of those two genres.
right on. Do you want to show us a bit about what it's like for you actually developing? Like, walk
Yeah,
us through some of your process. Like, help us
for sure.
share the knowledge. So, the idea behind this series was that
Hmm.
so many people are trying to stay at the frontier of changing technologies.
Hmm.
We thought, in the lead up into our upcoming Vibe Jam, why not bring some knowledge from our team and share it with
Hmm.
the community about how we are actually using tools
Yeah,
and what our workflow is like? Because, as I said earlier, I think that our team is doing a great job of staying at the frontier of the technology curve. Yeah,
for
so
sure.
Click would love to see a little bit of how you do what you do.
Yeah, of course. Let me let's demo it. So I don't think anyone's seen Moongleam yet. It's not Unchained. just yet. It's just like a browser game running locally. But we'll be kind of adding those touch points. Can you see my screen just to check
Yeah, it should be
real
up there.
quick?
Yep, sure.
Okay, cool. So Moongleam, it's still very much in like a wireframey demo state. So we're kind of like working through combat systems and uh we're hoping to like kind of tie it all together to make it like a truly demoable version of the game sometime in the next 2 weeks, hopefully. Um, but yeah, so like Moongleam, very simply, you are an android set in the far future, um, and it like, how do I describe the lore of the game? And I'm not even sure if the lore is like all that important for the purposes of this video, but I think it's fun. I'm interested in a kind of like a science fiction style dystopia where like android, like Tesla style humanoid robots that were created to serve humans, like still exist in a world where humans have like long past gone extinct. Um, and kind of like the core thematic um, concept in Moongleam is that they are occupying a world that does not have reliable um, energy and is supported by like maybe like a massive AI that like redistributes like electricity to different parts of the world. Um, so electricity is a very scarce resource, and there are massive power surges infrequently. And when a power surge like hits part of the city, all of the androids kind of like recharge and they gain like consciousness. And then the power goes away and they kind of like do a battle royale. And they're all of a sudden they're like fighting over the remaining electricity that's stored in each of their fellow robots that kind of woke up with them. So for Moongleam, you are starting with a character class, which is like pretty familiar for roguelikes. And you wake up and you have a loadout, and you have like health and electricity, and then you are choosing locations, which results in you picking up like different pieces of equipment. And then you enter into the auto battler portion of the game, where combat is simulated based on your build. So you have an opponent, which is a snapshot of another player, and then the roguelike kind of goes through like different like encounter kind of encounter build upgrade cycle until you die. And I want to have a lot of different kinds of equipment, equipable items. Like this is a weapon card, this is a hardware card, we've got energy cards down here, and they all do kind of different things. And for like a lot of like the gameplay and the strategy to take place in like the like build upgrade system, where like all of a sudden I decide like, well, this item is not like, it would be better if this item was faster, or if this item costs less energy, or if it was like more powerful. And then you kind of have these like upgrade ads where you can like equip different pieces of hardware or equip different cards that like power up the hardware that then like make it like more efficient, and just have like a lot of strategy in between like the way these cards work together.
Yeah, I remember,
um
if I understand
yeah.
correctly, there was like a whole color motif where there were like kind of
Mhm.
6 different colored slots or different colored objects, and it was
Mhm.
kind of worked into the art and also
Mhm.
gameplay mechanics. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So that's kind of what these character archetypes are. Um, and we have like different classes. So you've got a defensive class, which is the Guardian. This is like a healing class. This is a demolition class. This is like a control class. And this is a like DPS damage class. And each of these different like androids have like different kinds of gear. So like the red gear is going to be focused more on like DPS, and the blue gear is going to be focused on like shields and defense. So as an android who has just like woken up after maybe like a long sleep, your like Darwinian impulse is to become more fit for battle. And you do that by defeating other androids and then equipping their gear. I think this step is going to like right now it's a little bit like straightforward. Like you pick a color and then you get gear. But what's actually going to happen in the game is for you to come across like a defeated android that has green gear, and then you're going to equip gear um, off of that android's corpse. And then you go into combat and you have your build, and you are fighting against another android who's done the same thing, and they may maybe have like a different strategy, and then you'll either win or lose, and then that will be the basis for like how you proceed in the game. So if you win, then you get to kind of like go through another upgrade path where you're maybe like converting his items into like points where that you can like apply to your build to maybe make your like health like larger or yeah. And then there are like kind of like other little details about the way combat works in this game. We have energy cards which produce energy that then gets consumed by the hardware. So you can have like two red energy here, and if those are both producing energy at a consistent rate, then the hardware is consuming it faster than like your orange gear. So there's a whole like interplay between like the hardware and the energy. Anyways, like all this is to say it's like it's actually kind of like a complicated game. So
Yeah,
being able to like express it in code is
yeah,
like maximally useful. And this would be like something that I would maybe do through a paper prototype and then try to convince an engineer that it's a good idea.
yeah,
But like this will let me actually like test whether or not this is a game that has
yeah.
like strategic depth and is fun. And so I'm excited to get to like a place where we can demo the full game loop and iterate on the game mechanics. Um, and it would not have been possible without
Yeah.
the AI
Yeah, I
tools.
know. I want us to get into maybe a workflow, but I will say I really want to reflect that I really enjoyed the visuals of just watching the combat. I think like the very fast pace, watching all of the bars
Mm-hmm.
reload. I'm just
Yeah,
imagining how you could set that to like some kind of very like electronic up tempo kind of music, and it could be like really
totally.
very. It could be really neat. I'm imagining this like playing on the background
Yeah.
like venues. I'm like really, I think just like the visuals of watching all the bars go up, it almost sounds like an audio form, you know?
Yeah,
It,
I think we're gonna really lean into that. Like this should feel like a pachinko machine. Like we should have like when the gear fires off, it should have like a big kind of like flash or something, and you should really see the interplay between like these different items. Um, I just recently added this little like health effect that like shows the damage kind of ticking
yeah,
on the character, and that
yeah,
was just like a couple prompts
yeah,
to like I knew it was happening because it was being subtracted from
yeah,
the health bar, but just to represent that in like a more visual way
yeah,
was very easy to do. And just to like maybe speak to like the gameplay a little bit, I really wanted this to be a game that you could like pause it and play it and then like kind of interrogate kind of like the sequence of events. So like, is this item activating before my hardware? And
yeah,
like if you want to like refine it, maybe there are things that you can do with your build to make the red gear activate like a little bit later. So like having this game, like it's a totally deterministic like combat mechanism, and you can speed it up, you can slow it down, you'll be able to reset it, and then make educated decisions about like how your build is constructed going forward.
Very cool. Do you want to give us maybe a kind of a workflow demo? Let us see kind of how you
Yeah,
think through an AI augmented problem.
totally. Yeah, let me head over to Cursor. So one of the ways that I kind of like went about um, putting this game together, and let me just open up. I think I've got like my notepad. There we go. Is I ended up like constructing these like pretty massive summaries,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah. So I had like I have like a world building summary, which talks about like the the robot's hierarchy of needs. It has some like story context. I like added like a T.S. Eliot poem in here.
Yeah.
Um, and then this like it also talks about like the different colors and like what the different colors mean, how they like what do they mean from like a lore perspective. But I also went through kind of like each system in the game, and I put together a summary for that system. So like this is like the engine, like the game engine. And it
Yeah.
talks a lot about like tick rate and game loop and like, the separation of like system responsibilities and I like was kind of like interrogating ideas like with in this case it was Grok, where I would like feed it the engine like document and then I would ask it to help me construct like a like a combat system document or like an energy system
Right. So
document.
these documents themselves were something that you developed with an
Mhm.
AI tool to help flesh them out.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
And what I would do is I would like copy it and then like paste it into like Grok and then ask for it to give it back to me in like markdown format.
Yeah.
And like it got really good at certain things. I know I have it in here somewhere. I thought it was in the architecture summary, but maybe it's not. It ended up producing like graphs and charts for me as well. And and it got really really good at it. Like, is it in the architecture spec maybe? So yeah, part of my workflow, at least in the beginning of the project, was making sure that all of these documents were like cohesive and that
Right.
they used the same terminology and that they like um, very they were comprehensive in describing the systems that I was building. So like I have like a registry, which is like the item catalog, like all the different kinds of hardware and energy cards that go in the game. And everything that related to the registry, like we just kind of dig in like the universal weight property. So like all pieces of equipment have like a weight property, and then your character has like a capacity, a weight capacity. So like that's included in this registry document, and it's probably also included in like the build summary if we just search like weight. So like this is the constraint for the build editor. Like you can't build a character that has weight that exceeds its capacity. So that's something that the build editor needs to know about, and that's something that like the items themselves need to know, like how much do they weigh. Um, so like stuff like that was really useful in the beginning to like kind of define a scope, at least for the MVP of the game. And we can like kind of go down the list. Like this is like how enemies are constructed. Like
Wow.
you take like let's see, so like the shadow system creates enemies from player builds as they play the game. So a player will have a build on like stage 2, and the shadow system will take a snapshot of that player build and then serve it to another player as an enemy in the future. So this is like a clever way for us to create like a competitive
Yeah.
like
And so
opponent system.
how much of this had you sort of had in mind going into the project versus like itself, this was something that was an
Hmm.
iterative process of fleshing out ideas and mechanics as you went along.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely iterative. Um, but I had been before I knew that it was possible to vibe code a game. I would like I'd spent like 2 months thinking about like this combat mechanism for this game and like how it would possibly work. So I
Yeah,
had a lot of stuff that I knew I wanted to like test, and once I started putting it together in um like this is a TypeScript um app, then I needed a way to communicate those ideas with an LLM. So the easiest way to like onboard an LLM to this game, at least the concept of the game, is just to copy each one of these documents and feed it to the LLM one by one,
yeah,
and then it has like you know 0 to 100, like it has a really good working knowledge of like the key important concepts in the game.
yeah.
And then if I ask it to like update the weight system to like change this parameter, it knows exactly what I'm talking about.
And can you, I guess, can you maybe walk us through what that actually looks like? As you would you
Hmm.
be doing that in cursor, being like, "Hey, reference these
Yeah,
blocks"? Would you like what
totally,
actually like show us how?
totally. Yeah, so necessity is the mother of invention, and like before, I'll loop around to that, but like this was like the first Vibe game that I ever built. It's just like a simple HTML file like on my computer.
Whoa.
But as soon as like, and it's a dungeon crawler. You're like walking around like here, this is your character, and then as you find these T objects in the map, you light up different parts of the dungeon, and like those circles are like a pit. There are going to be monsters that like chase you, but
Wow.
like you're picking up items, and like there's a monster and he's probably going to follow me. Yeah, so you've got my monsters or
And so
they're
just to call back for the audience. So this began with the like the demo.
levels.
Remember what it was
Yes.
called? It was
Levels IO's flight simulator.
levels. And so you saw someone who basically did this, and you were like, "Well, if that person can do it, I can do it too."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
I just asked it to like create like a simple dungeon crawler with like ASCII text, and then like through like dialogue we added different features. So we added like monsters to the game, we added pits, we added like it's all generative, so like it generates a dungeon every time you refresh.
Yeah.
um so uh so yeah, so like this was good enough for a simple dungeon crawler just to host a file
Yeah.
on your computer. But as soon as you start to kind of like get into like multiple pages and like um like I ended up having to move from JavaScript to TypeScript to take advantage of um like components, and and then I had to learn how to use GitHub and like how Vite works. So let's see. So yeah, typically like what I'm doing is I'm just like I have it running locally, and then I'll um run the Vite server,
Hmm.
and this is like like for like a person who mostly spent time in Figma, like it's really cool and useful to learn how these tools work. So now I have, if I go back to my game, I have like this is my game. It's hosted on my local machine, and if I want to add like a side panel that has like these different placeholder pages for like leaderboards, or like maybe these are like my characters that I've created, then it's really easy to to start doing that from cursor. So let's just think like what could we possibly do with this game? So right here I know like I've built it so I know that this is our title page.
Yeah.
So if I just kind of hop into cursor and I ask it like, hey, can you find the title page? And let me just like give it context. So I want it to know um sorry, I tried this. I wanted to have access to like my source directory, which is
Hmm.
like the top level
Yeah.
directory for my game. So like all the game logic exists inside of the source directory, and I wanted to have access to my summaries folder, which is like this entire directory of summaries that I've created. So now,
Well,
now that I've done, yeah, go ahead.
most of the time you want all of that to be loaded into context.
Yeah, exactly. So just it has, and there are some other things that we've done. I didn't directly build them. I can kind of go into those later, but like custom rules for cursor. But if I just ask it like, hey, can you find the title page? Um, and it'll think through this question, and it's gonna find kind of like this title screen. And it looks like it's found it. Yeah, so it's looking at screen/title screen, which is where this page exists. And yeah, if I want to go find it, I can do that myself. So you could do it that way, or you could just like copy the title screen file and just like paste it directly into Claude. So yeah, and now this is kind of cool because it's telling me different things. It's like okay, like I see the game logo, I see the play button, I see the arena panel. So like here's the play button. The logo is kind of in this like black font in the background. This is like the arena panel. So now if I want, I can ask it to modify any of these things. So it's like if I like, can you like apply a light color scheme to this this page? It's a little depressing. So like this is a very vague prompt, and I mostly encourage you to be more specific with like the things that you ask it to do. But it'll try to do whatever you ask it. So right now it's gonna probably change the background color to like a white, maybe change the contrast of the page elements, and it's gonna do an okay job. And that's great. But like in this case, it's like, okay, like, well, it's done maybe like the first step, but now let's like this play button doesn't have enough contrast. And it looks like it's still going. So yeah, maybe by the time it finishes, it'll have updated the contrast of the play
So
button.
I guess so. I can imagine you having a couple of different workflows. One where you ask it to make a change, it doesn't quite get it, and you ask it to make another change, and you're kind of always moving forward.
Mhm.
I can imagine a workflow where you like kind of move forward and then just go back, revert if it doesn't work out, and try
For
again.
sure.
Where it's like one step forward, one step back, one step
For
forward.
sure.
Or I could imagine a workflow where you have it make a change, then you manually go in and edit the change to get it exactly to be what you want. And those are three
100%.
totally valid ways of doing this work, and different contexts might require different approaches. So would you say that of those three, maybe there's one you use the most, or maybe you use a different approach? Like,
Yeah.
what does the iteration process look like?
Yeah. So like one of the really fun things about having having like built this game, and wow, it's really kind of done a great job at that actually. Like it even like okay, kind of meant up the hover states of the buttons a little bit, but you can see it like it updated the title button. Like, I'm just impressed. One thing that I've found, I'm going to reject these changes because I don't actually want to do that. One of the things that I've found as I've kind of been using it more and more is I actually use it less for certain things. Like we use Tailwind for our styling. And forgive me if this is wrong, but like Tailwind is like kind of like an out of the box like uh like shorthand way to style like HTML elements. So like it has like its own kind of it's really useful. So like justify between, it's like spreading the items out within the button. This is like how you define padding in Tailwind. I did not know any of this really before I started, but now I know enough that it's pretty easy for me to like jump in and make certain changes. So if I go to like the like here handle play click. So this is our play button right here. And I can see all the parameters, and I can read like right here that like okay, like the horizontal padding is is 8 and the vertical padding is 3, but really what I want this to be is like 12, which is like an insanely large button.
Ooh, look
Like,
at that. I know where to
you
click.
know, so like as you kind of like watch it work through your file, like you're learning too, or at least I am.
Yeah.
And so like for a lot of like the short kind of like detail oriented stuff, I end up doing a lot of that myself. And then for more like complicated things, you can always go and ask it like what to do. A good example of this oops, um, is so like I built this like little map mechanism for the selection page, and this is like kind of like a clever little tool. It's responsive. You can it's showing your pathing, so like your character's either going left or he's going right, and depending on like what you're doing. And I'm navigating with my left and right arrows on my keyboard, by the way.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to know how to make a map view. Like it's just a very quick and short one. And I was trying to figure out how to do that. So like here, like I was looking for like Slay the Spire
Yeah.
map. And I found this really great Reddit post. And somebody down here, very simply said, we drew a grid. And then we drew we did the pathing by pointing that we took the center point of one like cell in the grid and we drew a line to the center point in another cell in the grid. So like this is really this is like almost a prompt itself. So I asked Claude to like just draw like a 2x3 grid or like a 3x2 grid, and then I place cards into the center of those if I just like bring up editor, you can see it. So like I put my cards like in the dead center, and
Yeah.
then I did exactly kind of what that Reddit post
Yeah.
had said. But I didn't, in this case I didn't ask it just to like draw me a map. I went and did some research to find out like how maps had been constructed, and then I kind of like very specifically prompted it to do each step one by one. And I think it turned out really, really well. Like I'm very excited about like, you know, just that it's like responsive and uses SVG elements, and we can like style the borders and update like, so yeah, that's something that's really useful if you just take advantage of like resources that are online, and then you kind of bring that into Cursor and ask it to help you like construct it.
Wow. That's really impressive. Yeah, I've heard people rave about the map and how very well designed it was. So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but but just as a starting point, I think this is really awesome. Like what I would love is to like bring more like it's a very static page, right? Like I think the next step is probably to like add a background animation.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's its own prompt. So it's like how do you do like a particle effect in like, like I would probably find an example of something, and then I would do some research, and then I would start to like I mean, we could even just try this. I don't know if Cloud
Try
would
right
do a very
now.
good job, but like okay, let's add a subtle particle effect to the background of the primary class selector. So it has been working on the title page. So I'm going to ask it to work on the primary class selector. It'll probably be able to figure this out, but I know we can just like remove doubt by like copying and pasting the primary class selector page kind of into the prompt. And this is like, I just kind of copied everything and pasted it in here. The other way you could do it is you could like find like index and then find the primary class. And actually, this is not the primary class selector page. This is the secondary class selector page. So just be very precise with your language. So secondary. Okay. So let's add a subtle particle effect to the background of the secondary class selector page. And then you can always kind of like iterate on the details.
Yeah.
Uh, but like this should fill the entire screen and be absolutely positioned behind the page content. Yeah, so let's see how it does. But what I might want to do is like just do a search. So if we go to like was how do I add a lightweight particle effect to the background of my game. So we've got a bunch of tutorials that we can look at. Particle count. So like these are definitely considerations. You could even ask it here, but I probably recommend separating these prompts. So I would maybe have like a separate conversation somewhere that you can.
A bit more specific, a bit more pointed.
Yeah, if you're gonna do brainstorming, I would brainstorm elsewhere. Like it might just like YOLO and try to change your code, which will be really annoying because you have to kind of keep an eye on it. But it is adding. It's created a component. It created particle background as a component. It's importing its component into my page. You can kind of like click in to see kind of exactly how it's thinking about things. And it looks like it's done it. So now if we want, we can just go check. And I don't see it. So we've got to interrogate. Like, I'm not seeing it. Seeing it on the can you investigate? Or troubleshoot. Yeah, so that's just one way to do it. But what I would probably like encourage you to do, and what I would do for myself, is I would just do like a little bit of research into like implementations that I really like from certain games.
So you kind of know what you're looking for. You know what you're evaluating.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's
yeah, like one issue that I had kind of in when I was kind of building the first version of it is like sometimes it would like create duplicate systems. So like I'd try to build like the combat system, and then that touches a lot of like it has integrations with like a lot of these other systems, and it would sometimes rebuild like work that was already built when we built the combat system. So like putting this all together did require a bit of kind of like back and forth, and to build the back end and help me kind of like help us execute on this game. Like we have Ayush from Cartridge has been working on the project as well. So like now we've kind of shifted into like back end and front end developer roles. So I'm mostly kind of like working on the UI, and he's working on like the engine and the back end. And like for us, like I think I don't know if I, with the tools as they are today, could have shipped like a really like polished, like version of this game. Like I think a lot of the work on the back end I probably just wouldn't have known how to do, and it would have taken a lot of like investigating to like learn how to do that. But
is it fair to say that there's like maybe a diminishing return to pure vibe coding, and that taking some time to, it's like if you can educate yourself 10%, going back to the particle effect, if you can get 10% of the way there, then maybe AI can get you 80% further. But if you just like are smashing the keyboard, you're probably
Hmm.
going to go in circles. Is that fair to say, or is that maybe
Yeah.
am I just being a Luddite?
Yeah, it's either that or it's the other way around. Like it's like one of the two. It's like you maybe can get like 60% of the way to like an idea, and then to finish the last 40%, like you might need to learn a lot. Or but but as like a strict learning tool, like this is an amazing learning tool. It'll kind of tell you where to look. Like I'm not sure if it's solved this particle effect issue. It looks like it's struggling with that. So I'm gonna just not do those changes. But uh, but I think yeah, I think this is a great tool to get you started, and then it also just like makes a lot of these things more accessible.
Yeah,
So like I'm learning TypeScript, and I probably would not have like been motivated to do that had this not lowered kind of like the barrier to entry for me. But now that I do have this tool, it's like I really want to know like I wanted to figure out how to do these like sliced corners.
yeah,
So I did a lot of research, and I, asked Claude, and I figured out it's like, okay, like, well, to do a corner like this and to give it a border, like you need a pseudo element that's like positioned over over the image object, and then it has the background that matches the background, and like like those are like little details and tricks that I just know how to do now.
yeah.
And it was because I wanted to do it, and then I had a resource that was able to like point me in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, I found that being able to have specific questions answered immediately is just such a multiplier on any
Hmm.
learning process that you might be in.
Hmm.
Imagine all the time you'd spend like rooting around trying to find information. Most of it's not useful. Like imagine
Hmm.
all that time being gone and just immediately the answer you want.
Totally.
The iterative interactive learning process that you can go through now is just so much more powerful than it ever was before. So
Totally.
yeah,
And
and
you can like, you know, context switch. So like this is like we've been talking about like development, but like these images were also AI generated, and they're like we're working with an artist, and he's putting together like really nice illustrations for like these different characters. But just being able to like generate placeholders like helps like sell the game, like you know it's like I feel like being able to kind of like switch through different characters like really kind of like helps you like understand kind of like what this decision means at this stage in the game.
yeah,
And it's great to be able to throw a placeholder in there and to like generate a placeholder and like have kind of that accessible to you. So like this is like a whole development role for a game that like we need wireframes. Okay, let's generate a couple of images that we can just like put something into the game, and then we can move forward.
wow, that's really cool. Well, we've gone like half an hour over time because this is so interesting. Um, is there anything else you want to talk about, or any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Um, yeah, I think that the landscape's like changing very dramatically. So 6 months time, like 6 months ago, it wasn't like I don't think it was possible to kind of like get to like this level of fidelity. Like even in building this game, like I think I got started using like Claude 2 or something. I forget what it was. It might have been like 3, Claude 3. Um, but they like released like a new model, and then all of a sudden it was super fast and like better. So just like over the life cycle of development, like the tools have changed pretty dramatically, and we've only been building it for like a couple months now. And I think 6 months from now, like the landscape will be, you know, different than it is today.
Yeah,
So it's just fun to like, test things as they come out, like unlock new capabilities as like models become better, and like Like another thing that's like kind of fun is like you could feed it a page like this, and you can say like hey, like what do you think? Could we clean up this page a bit? What areas for improvement can you identify? And and it'll go through this page and it'll say like, well, like maybe you're using some like unnecessary like you know like functions in here, or like you don't need like this wrapping div, or like you're applying this background to like this object, but you also are applying it unnecessarily to like a child object. And it'll give me its opinion. I think like a year from now you'll be able to just feed it your entire game, and it'll like help you troubleshoot things. So I'm excited about where we're going. I think everyone with a sufficient amount of motivation can be a game developer, and or like an app developer, like an illustrator, like whatever you want to do.
Wow,
Like those are it's yeah, your creativity will be rewarded.
that's amazing. Well, on that note, Click, thank you so much for being here and showing us your amazing work. And yeah, for those of
Yeah.
you watching at home, the Dojo Vibe Jam is coming up June 19th. So, fire up your terminals and get hacking. It's going to be a great old time.
Oh yeah. And stay tuned for Moongleam. I'm very excited to like get this out there. So
Looks great.
soon.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you,
See ya.
Dan.
Take
Bye.
care.